You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Warning, the following broadcast contains adult language, adult content, frank safety discussions, and stories that might sound unbelievable. But believe me, every one of those stories is true. We didn't start the safety war, but we are going to fight to win it. For our families, for our communities, for our workplaces, and for our lives. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, so welcome to Safety Wars for Thursday, January 2023, and we're from the border of liberty and prosperity. Well, the state of liberty and prosperity, that is New Jersey, had a possible earthquake this afternoon. And there was a loud boom not too far away from where I live, where our broadcast studios are in Clarkstown, New York, and they're investigating that. Well, people don't realize, I didn't know this until I was in college, and I was researching something else in what we used to call a library. I don't know, do we still have them? Yeah, I know, I'm only joking. Everybody searches, you can search your whole database at your library from the comfort of your home since I was in grad school in 2003. But the nice thing about libraries and books is that you're able to come across books that you would have never been able to see, never realized were there, and you had the ability to browse. You're like, oh crap, I didn't know that. And anyway, so I came across a book on earthquakes in New Jersey. And lo and behold, New Jersey has a lot of earthquakes. unfortunately, they're like more tremors, like 1 or 2 on the Richter scale, that sort of thing, centered in northern New Jersey, around the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So, we got a lot going on today. A major story out of OSHA today. So the on or about the 15th of every year, and in this case it's going to be the 17th because of the because 15th falls on a Sunday, and we have Martin Luther King Day on Monday, which we plan on broadcasting that day, and then Tuesday we have the 17th. So it's the 17th. These are going to take effect. Are the maximum penalty amounts for OSHA. So they're being raised. So basically, this is what it comes down to. In 2015, Congress authorized the. There's a little bit more history with that. It wasn't Congress. It was, I believe, the administration at that time, the Obama administration, had just raised the penalties under OSHA, under some other, with authorization from another federal law that was never applied. And every year around this time, January 15th, the laws, the penalties go up. So what we're looking at for 2023 is a serious or other than serious or posting requirement, a maximum penalty of $15,625 for violation. A failure to abate, we're looking at a maximum of $15,625 per day beyond the abatement date that you're given on your OSHA citation, or a willful and repeated violation, maximum penalty of $156,259. And as always, these things are almost always negotiated downward, vacated, what have you, settled out of court. As we mentioned on Monday with Carlos's law in New York, I don't know if if you're doing business in New York, whether or not the violation happened in New York or not. I see a lot of these things being contested because my understanding is that you could probably build a criminal case. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. Based on, New York may be able to build a criminal case against you, or at least a pattern of negligent behavior if you have a whole series of OSHA violations in other states. That's often what happens. So something to keep an eye on. Or let's say that there's a violation in another state that might, end up with litigation in New York and impact litigation in New York. I don't know. We'll see how that all plays out. So that's something we need to be aware of. And if I was everybody, Monday, I would probably do on Monday, I probably would do a email, or Friday, because Friday afternoon emails don't often get read until Monday anyway. I would craft a nice email to your management group saying, hey, just FYI, OSHA violations, right? The penalties are up. So the other thing is, if you are an outreach trainer, remember to update those PowerPoint presentations and handouts and everything else. Another press release from the U.S. Department of Labor. OSHA has cited a company for 5 violations of workplace safety standards after its investigation of a fatal arc flash or an arc blast in Boston's Beacon Hill neighborhood in July of last year that led to a worker's death. Investigators found out that the employer did not fully de-energize the electrical equipment or follow the manufacturer's maintenance recommendations when the employees conducted maintenance, failed to make a reasonable estimate of the heat energy to which employees would be exposed if an arc blast occurred, did not adequately train the employees on electrical equipment hazards, provide rescue equipment, nor test oxygen levels before employees entered a vault. So this is from OSHA's Area Director James Mulligan in Braintree. Quote, I did not say that. The company could have prevented this arc, flash, and blast and its tragic outcome by ensuring effective and necessary training, procedures, and work practices were provided and followed. The company knew the hazards related to this type of high-voltage equipment, yet it failed to safeguard its employees as the law requires. They were cited for 2 willful and 3 serious violations for a total of $333,560. But as we know, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. These things get negotiated downward or vacated and or litigated. Things could go any way here. So let's take a view of the citations. I have them right here. And let's remember they have 15 days to contest this before this becomes final. I'm scrolling on down. Okay, here we go. Citation 1, serious. 1910, 29 CFR 1910-269, that is a general industry, right? So this is probably a general industry project. Each qualified employee did not receive adequate training in the recognition of electrical hazards and techniques necessary to control or avoid them. Those are most likely be NFPA 70E type training, and some which would incorporate that with the OSHA stuff. That's normally the way that goes. Citation number 2. Serious. The employer, this is 1910-269 again, the employer did not ensure that provided rescue equipment was utilized to ensure for the prompt and safe rescue of employees from the enclosed spaces. So this sounds like a confined space entry deal they were going into with this. Let's read down a little bit more. Before an employee enters an enclosed space, the atmosphere in the enclosed space had not been tested for oxygen deficiency with a direct reading meter or similar equipment. We're not talking a torch or anything like that. We're talking an actual thing that's able to measure oxygen, right? Capable of collection and immediate analysis of data samples without the need for off-site evaluation. So that's an E9, 1910-269 E9. And we have a type of violation, willful or serious. This is a general duty clause violation. So let's talk about this. On or about blah, 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 employees were exposed to electrical hazards, including arc flash burns, and smoke inhalation. Or in the alternative, the employer, this is a regulation in here, the employer did not ensure that each employee exposed to hazards from electric arcs wore protective clothing or other protective equipment that had an arc rating greater than or equal to the heat energy estimated. But they didn't even estimate it, right? Of this section, whenever the estimate exceeded 2 calories per centimeter squared. So, not the right PPE, no recognized, no general duty clause free of recognized hazards or anything else. That's a $145,000 fine there. So, citation 2, and here we have citation 2, item 2. Again, another willful one for $145,000 for each employee exposed to hazards from electric arcs. The employer did not make a reasonable estimate of the incident heat injury to which the employee could be exposed. Wow. So $145,000, another willful. So that's how it is. That's the score, guys and gals out there. But what does it come down to? Right? I don't have a copy of the accident investigation, but what do you need to do? The 3 A's. Assess your workplace hazards, analyze what they are, and act. You have to do an assessment here. Apply the hierarchy of controls, right? Along the lines of you eliminate the hazard, you substitute lesser hazard for a greater hazard. No, a greater hazard. You eliminate the greater hazard, you get a lesser hazard. I can never get that straight. Engineer it out, administrate, and then PPE as the last. So that's something going on. We people don't realize how hot these arc flashes get. So let's do a quick Google search here. All right. Temperature of an arc flash. I know what it is, but I didn't want to guess here. So this is from Canadian Center of Occupational Health and Safety. Arc flash, right, could be Hold on. And here you go. During arc flash, an arc flash returns to the flash of light and heat that is created when energy is released between a live conductor, another conductor, or the ground. During an arc flash, the energy release heats the air to extreme temperatures, such as almost 20,000 degrees Celsius. That's 35,000 degrees Fahrenheit. At these high temperatures, items within a 3 meter radius, such as clothing and skin, right, will catch fire, melt, or vaporize. In addition, an arc flash will create an arc blast. The heated air expands suddenly and creates a powerful pressure wave. So this has inspired me, when I started learning about these, never to screw with electric ever. Right? So what are some of the things that we get with this? Let's say you're a safety professional. You go out to a job. This is all in my experience here. And what kind of people manage electric, do you think? What kind of people do you think? Electricians. Okay. So what are the challenges you're going to have unless you are an electrician or a engineer that handles electric? You don't have to be a licensed electrician to handle electric. You can be a registered professional engineer, rated in NFPA 70E, things of that nature. But normally those people are. What's the main thing? An electrician often, because the company culture, feels that you're impeding on his or her domain. So if you're going to be working with electricians, trying to develop a lockout tagout policy, lockout tagout procedures, anything like that, I would suggest you get on the electrician's good side, quote unquote good side. If it's a union shop, take the shop steward, get them some donuts, lunch, butter them up a little bit, him or her up a little bit, treat them with respect. Because they're usually the gatekeepers on anything to do with lockout, tagout, or arc flashes or anything like that in the workplace. You have to get them to be on your side. So it would help if you go and you get them on your side. The worst thing that you want to do is go into a situation where you have to go and develop a lockout, tagout policy or a plan or procedure or anything else, and you have an adversarial situation because the electrician, number one, now, like we know, workers are normally going to know how to work safely, and regardless what your procedures are, and they're going to rely on their experience. Most people have not had an arc flash, thank God. But where the issue comes up is that because they haven't had an experience with an arc flash, never seen an arc flash, that they think it's never going to happen to them. So what ends up having to happen is you get resistance. They're not going to give you all the info. They're going to say, you know what, I don't really want to go through the procedure, so I'm not going to give this person all the info. That happened to me about 5 times in my career. And we ended up having to get management involved this is when I worked in corporate America as a health and safety consultant, because they weren't, it's their domain. They would have been much better hiring a company who had a actual a specialist in electricity to help them write the procedures. Did the job get done? Absolutely got done. Did it get done correctly? Absolutely got done correctly. But it was it was like pulling teeth to get there, because had they been dealing with another electrician or somebody who was a qualified individual with this electric, now you have some credibility. You're able to set up a rapport with them and everything else. I'm sure other people would have been able to set up a rapport. Some other people, but these people weren't being cooperative at all. So that's what you need to do, right? Again, get along with people, find out, how things operate. And to be honest with you, I've got calls on Lockout Tagout and everything else. I'll do the training and everything, but I'll normally shy away from this type of work unless I can bring someone else in, right? And with that, so that's what my suggestion is bringing someone else in. So we have some breaking news here. Lisa Marie Presley was rushed to the hospital. If we recall, Elvis's birthday was yesterday. No, I was not off for Elvis's birthday. And I'm involved. By the way, the extended family is recovering from COVID. So making a good, successful recovery from COVID. But I was involved with taking care of business with them all week. And for that, on Monday, and I'll skip ahead, on Monday, I just remembered, Monday, I'm probably not going to be on the air. I have a meeting that I normally go to the third Monday of every month. So if I am on the air, it'll be a pre-recorded program. Pardon me, I just drank a big thing of iced tea here. So Priscilla Presley, the mother of Lisa Marie Presley, is asking for prayers for her daughter. So let's see if there is an update here. She apparently went into cardiac arrest. Well, is there an update here? Because I'm looking at an article that's several hours old. And all the articles are several hours old here. So the apparent cardiac arrest. My question is, why are there so many people going into cardiac arrest? I think it's a little bit odd, Another story out of Harris County, that is Houston. Harris County commissioners and local labor leaders announced in a press conference on Monday, right? When was this? From Monday, that their first order of business in 2023 will be addressing the alarming construction worker death rates in the county through workers' safety policy for construction businesses. The safety policy is part of a Build Houston Better coalition aimed to upgrade and expand workplace protections for employees and contractors in the county. At the press conference, Paul Puente, the executive secretary of the Houston Gulf Coast Building and Construction Trades Council, said this legislation is essential because of the startling amount of workers who die on the job. For years, Texas led the nation in occupational fatalities, the majority of those deaths in the construction industry. The policy requires all managers and employees overseeing manual labor to have OSHA training. Employers are also set to pay for the training. So they're not specifying what, but I imagine OSHA outreach training for the Houston area. Possible business opportunity there. Let's take a break, and I'll be back with you in a second.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with The Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
OSHA recordables, first aid cases, catastrophic losses. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Pozell with Safety Wars. And we're going to go to some financial news. So stocks were up today because the latest inflation data showed cooling price pressures for the sixth consecutive month, likely keeping the Federal Reserve on track to slow its pace of interest rate increases. My comment on this is this. All right. Couple of ways you can pursue excellence. A lot of ways. We cannot pursue excellence by saying we're doing better than everybody else. And right. We're doing so, yeah, the economy is looking good, blah, 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 compared to everybody else. That would be like in the industry. Well, yeah, we're doing really great safety-wise compared to everybody else. Right? That's not a good way to sell something, in my opinion. You want to say, yeah, you're doing good. We got things going. We're going to judge us on ourselves. When you get the attorneys and litigators in there, then you can say, well, look, we're better than everybody else here. But internally, to sell safety, well, that's not a way to do it. You got to pursue excellence in what you're doing every day. Right? That's what you need to do. Let's see what the numbers are here. We have the Dow Jones Industrial, as we said, we're up at 34,189.97. S&P 500 is up today, 39,83.17. NASDAQ at 11,001. Russell 2000 at 1876.06. Treasury notes are down. The 10-year Treasury notes are trading at 3.462%. Bitcoin continues to rise. And remember, all these numbers that I give is just at the time of broadcast, which is we're live tonight, so it's 8:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or it's afternoon drive time on the West Coast at 5:24 p.m. A lot of these markets, they're going 24/7, 6 days a week. Some of them, and these are what we're seeing right now. Crude oil is down today, 78.26. And Bitcoin continues to rise to 18,799.40. It's up. It's up from what it was. Precious metals. We have gold, 1907.40. Silver at 24.09. Came down slightly. Platinum down slightly, 1,088.50. Let me click on something here. Yes, that is down. Slightly up from earlier this week, from late last Friday, platinum. So it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and it goes down. So it's hovering around the high 1,000s, right? Almost 1,100. Palladium is down slightly, 1826.50. So that's what we have for financial news. What do we have to work on? We have to work on long-term success. And remember, these numbers that we're seeing here, from regardless of the source and everything else, they don't necessarily apply to you. How's that sound? You have to be in charge of your own financial well-being and everything. Your own thing. Yeah. Will that impact you? Do you have to be? Yeah, you have to be aware of it, but be more aware of what your specific situation is and your long-term outcome. A lot of good things happened during COVID. Yes, unfortunately, we had over 1.1 million deaths in the United States alone here with COVID. A lot of people built a lot of capacity into their systems with COVID. Remember, we would not be here on the air if it weren't for COVID. So we built our capacity, built our skills here. We launched the Safety Wars podcast, done with Safety Wars Live back in October of last year. All right. No, I'm sorry. It was September of last year. Boy, time flies when you're having fun. And everything else that goes into it, you start, to build capacity. So if you're out of work, right? I know unemployment's low here, but if you're out of work or whatever, you're looking for a new job, try to build capacity into your system. Go out there, read that safety book. Go out there, take that safety class. There's a lot of free classes out there you can search for. Listen to all of our people here on Safety FM, all 18 of our people, 17, whatever it is, of our people here. We got great resources here for you. And Sheldon Primus, or Primus, right? Sheldon Primus. I'm from New Jersey. It's Primus. Everywhere else it's Primus. He has a great program coming up in the next couple of months on trainer class for hydrogen sulfide trainer. He released 2 podcasts this week, one last week, the one this week on the training. It's pretty impressive, I might say. I might do that on myself if I could chisel out some part of my schedule. So that's something you need to consider. Consider the optimism. Build capacity in your system. Here's some news from the IMF. The IMF sees the world economy rebounding, yet still fragile. And they're saying the global recession can be avoided, right? If China continues these pandemic restrictions and Russia's war in Ukraine does not worsen, the head of the Kristalina Georgieva of the IMF is saying we could rebound from this. So that's some positive news for 2023 potentially. So let's go on to some other news here. Out of China, we have some China news here. Satellite imagery may show real impact of China's COVID outbreak as country reopens. This is from CNN today. They had reported that there are huge amounts of indications of crematoriums and other things for all the people impacted who died from COVID recently since they reopened their borders. Here, another one. China, right? With FBI search, U.S. escalates global fight over Chinese police outposts. So, as it has been reported and very well documented by the... Hold on, I'm getting a beeping here. Okay, we're going to put on some music because I have a smoke detector going off here. We're going to go to some music. Okay, we are back. Again, this is live radio here. So, we had an alarm go off in the background. It sounded like a smoke alarm, but it was for something else. Strange. So if you're beeping in the background, it's not an emergency. The house is not going to burn down. So, here, By the way, that was the Polish national anthem you heard in the background. So the Epoch Times And for a complete disclosure here, I do read the Epoch Times. It's based out of, for us, is a local paper out of upstate New York, run by the Falun Gong religion, right? Which is, no, as of late, the last 30 or 40 years or so, they've been heavily persecuted by the Chinese government and some of the other Asian governments. But they've been running a newspaper, the Epoch Times, for a couple of years. I don't know when they started. Pretty good newspaper, but they're pro Taiwan is number one. They're upfront about it. No, this is what we are, we're Falun Gong. And they've documented a lot of this issue here for a long time with Chinese agents and Chinese intelligence assets in the United States. I'm glad to see that the New York Times is now documenting some of this stuff. But basically, what what it comes down to is this: they're collecting information on Chinese citizens and whatever Chinese interests the Chinese government here. Now, if any of us think that we're not doing in the United States, doing this to other countries, then, there's a bridge over in Brooklyn not too far away from here I want to sell you. Number one. Number two is that there's some criticism of our own police forces where they're relying more on public records to collect intelligence rather than actual field work. I don't know, but it's it's happened. FBI counterintelligence agents searched a building last fall as part of a criminal investigation being conducted with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Right, the search represents an escalation in global dispute over China's efforts to police this diaspora far beyond its borders. Right, Irish, Canadian, Dutch officials have called for China to shut down police operations in their countries. The FBI raid is the first known example of the authorities seizing materials from one of the outposts. So there was a raid. I mean, we have Interpol operating in this country, in the United States. They used to have to work, at least last I checked in the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s, they had to go through our agencies to operate. Then they were given free reign because, hey, you're in the United States, you still have Miranda rights, right? And such. So they had to work with us. How this is being handled here, I don't know. So good question on this. Some other Asia news here. This is from the Straits Times. By the way, I just found out we have a lot of followers in Singapore. And it started when I started reading news about Southeast Asia. One of the newspapers I read is the Straits Times, which is out of Singapore. And I tell you what, when there's a safety issue in Singapore, they do a phenomenal job of reporting on it. I wish the American press would do as good of a job as they do here because they do deep dives. And what I like most about Singapore and their safety is the name of their safety organization. It's called MOM, the Ministry of Manpower. So you'll see a lot of stuff here that has a bent against, not against, but a bent with Southeast Asian flair here, because I read a lot of sources here. I was the guy before the internet who would read 3 or 4 newspapers a day. Yeah. By the way, that's soda, that's not beer. Okay. Facing a severely contested environment, Japan and the U.S. will significantly enhance security and military coordination and capability, the two sides said on Wednesday. So basically, we're upgrading and helping Japan upgrade a lot of their forces in response to China. And, U.S. will upgrade its military capabilities on Okinawa. And when this is something that I did not realize. Again, this an American with our limited geographical knowledge here, right? It's Taiwan is only 120 kilometers from Okinawa, Japan. Wow. So it's any buildup in Okinawa, right? It's going to impact the area. And again, I always am talking about peace, right? Now, here we have, let's see if I can find the story here. Hold on. We have two related stories here from two totally different sources, which is why I like to read a lot. So we're told now that it's a conspiracy theory, right? That's what they do to try to get you to discredit you. Everything's a conspiracy theory, right? Here we have, and as I've been following since about 1993, are demographic issues in the United States. And as we recall, United States, our economy is a consumer-based economy, right? We're buying things. A lot of the indexes that we use to track the economy in this country are housing indexes. Buying housing, construction, right? Housing, consumer goods, everything else. Buy. When do people spend the most amount of money? When they're in their mid to late 30s up to about 45 or 50. All right? So it stands to reason that if you have fewer 35 to 50-year-olds, you're going to have less purchase, correct? So, for example, Harley Davidson, yes, the motorcycle company, right? They were having all different types of problems in the mid-'80s. And why was that? Because the people who were the most interested in buying Harley Davidson motorcycles were, guess what? Well, who do you think they were? Baby boomers. And I'm a Gen Xer here, right? Not so many of us compared to the baby boomers. And people started to buy fewer and fewer Harley Davidsons. And they went through a big nightmare in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. A lot of other products. Remember, 92, during the presidential race, we're just coming out of a recession, and which caused one of the causes of George H.W. Bush to lose the election in 92 after coming out of a high approval rating, like a 93% approval rating with the first Gulf War. All this stuff worked in there with the economy. So demographics does have an impact on the economy. You don't have people buying, you got to get people buying. So you get them buying things that they don't need, the things that they don't want, impulse buying. Then you loosen up immigration policies and everything else to get people in there because we need to have a growing economy. What the reality is, the leading economic engine that's going to be driving our economy for the next 30 years or so is probably going to be immigrants from Central and South America. That's what the reality is, because we have a low birth rate in this country. We're looking at a University of Ohio State University, and University of North Carolina. Two people, Sarah Hayford and Karen Benjamin Guzzo, came out with a study. Here it is. Birth rates are falling in the United States after the highs of the baby boom in the mid-20th century, the lows of the baby bust in the 1970s. That's us Gen Xers. Birth rates were relatively stable for nearly 50 years, but during the Great Recession from 2007 to 2009, birth rates declined sharply and they've kept falling. By 2021, levels have dropped more than 20%, close to the lowest level in a century. Why? Right? Why are they not? Are they people facing increasing barriers to becoming parents, or people aren't interested in having children? Probably a little bit of both. So right now, in 1970, the year I was born, we had a birth rate of 2.5. That's the total fertility rate, right? Right now, we're dealing with a fertility rate of 1.7, right? And it comes down to what do they do? They don't really give too many options here. And let me scroll down. One of the things, people are getting a later start in having kids. All right? I'll use myself as an example. I got married very late in life. Right, relatively. I was 40. I'm not going to tell you how old my wife was with this. And it's kind of funny because I have people that I grew up with that have full-blown kids, and a couple of them are grandparents already. And when I would go to certain amusement parks, like down in Orlando, I said, "Oh, your grandkid is so beautiful. Your granddaughter is so beautiful." That sort of thing. Here we have in Sydney, right, the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is out of Southeast Asia, Straits Times. They're having the same issue here, right, in Australia. Incredible. Where they're having, because of COVID and everything else, things are dropping. So this is starting to hit the mainstream news, and it's not so much a conspiracy theory anymore about declining demographics. There is also reason why this has all become very popular, right? Demographic studies is there is a TV series on Hulu. In my opinion, this is an opinion. I don't have data, but my suspicion, called The Handmaid's Tale. That is, it talks about a demographic collapse in the United States and throughout the world. And a religious cult takes over the United States. And, right. So this is not so far out of the out of the conversation and nutty here. Let's talk about some vaccination news. The FDA vaccine advisors disappointed and angry that early data about new COVID-19 booster shot wasn't presented for review last year. Some vaccine advisors in the federal government say they're disappointed and angry that government scientists and the pharmaceutical company Moderna didn't present a set of infection data that company's new COVID-19 booster, which I got, during meetings last year when the advisors discussed whether the shot should be authorized. The data suggested the possibility that they did eventually receive that the updated booster may not be any more effective at preventing COVID. Isn't that interesting? Okay. There has been no public announcement about what caused Damar Hamlin's cardiac arrest after a tackle on Monday Night Football on January 2nd, but that hasn't been stopped people from speculating. Dr. Philip Yang, a cardiologist in California, told Yahoo News today that heart problems following COVID vaccination are theoretically possible but rare. Okay. You gave out billions of doses of this. I've heard some weird numbers like 2 billion doses. Eventually, when you give it out to, let's say everyone gets 2 doses, that's 1 billion people. I think you might, that little thing, well, this is rare, your numbers may overcome that. That's my own thinking on this. I'm not telling anyone not to get a vaccination or to get a vaccination. My advice is to consult with your doctor as always, or your medical professionals. CDC has said is monitoring reports of myocarditis and inflammation of the heart metal and pericarditis, and inflammation in the outer lining of the heart after someone received a vaccination. Symptoms of myocarditis or pericarditis may include chest pain, shortness of breath, feeling of having a fast beating, fluttering, and pounding heart. In cases after vaccination, most have been reported in adolescents and young adults males within a week of the second dose of the vaccine. While the severity of myocarditis and pericarditis cases can vary, most patients with reported cases who received care responded well to medicine, rest, and felt better quickly. Experts stress that myocarditis or pericarditis after vaccination is very uncommon. The CDC said in September that of the more than 123 million people as of last September who had received COVID shots, it had verified 131 cases of myocarditis. All right. And data published by the CDC in 2021 found 12.6 cases per million second doses administered. I won't do the math on there. So we're looking at 126. 12.7. We're looking at like about the same number. Myocarditis and are triggered by a viral infection. Okay. There's a lot of information and disinformation from there. I don't know what to make out of it. But again, right? Here we have more healthcare news. Cancer deaths are down 33% in 30 years. I'm glad to say my wife has been a part of this and the cancer organization she works for as an event and meeting planner. Cancer deaths in the U.S. have decreased by 33% over the past 3 decades, according to the American Cancer Society. After peaking in 1991, the mortality rate from cancer has continued to fall over the last 30 years due to decreases in smoking and improved cancer detection and treatment. And this trend continued in 2020, the most recent year which data is available. A drop in the mortality rates from lung cancer has been a driver of this trend, the study noted. However, lung cancer remains among the most deadly forms of cancer, holding the highest death rate for men and women. Cancer was the second leading cause of death in the U.S. If we recall, yesterday, I believe it was, or today, the 12th, was the death of, was the birthday of a radio talk show host. It was his birthday yesterday. He died of cancer back in 2021 from lung cancer. Right? A lot of people I know who were smokers after his death stopped smoking. Same thing with Rod Serling back in the 80s. When a lot of people from the Twilight Zone, the original host, Rod Serling died, a lot of people stopped smoking. Right now, smoking rates have went from 6 in 10 back in the 1950s and 60s to 1 in 5, meaning 20 in 100, or 2 in 10 people smoke. And I tell you what, I'm finding it hard because of restrictions. The only place you see people smoking is the porta potties nowadays. So take it for what it's worth. People with diabetes are struggling to find Ozempic as a source of popularity as a weight loss drug. I tell you what, people who I've known who are on the Ozempic say that they cannot control their appetite without it. Because you might, there is something, I think, there's something more going on here with weight loss and weight gain than we know. Because I tell you what, people, even on the insulin, they tell you to do this, do that, and manage your diet. It's very difficult for people to overcome constant hunger issues. Extremely difficult. I went on intermittent fasting. I'm not recommending any diet in particular. It was hell for me for the first 3 weeks. Yeah, I lost like 30 pounds, 40 pounds off it, and I managed to keep it off, right? Managed to such a point that I have to, at the end of this season, I got to get rid of all my winter clothes because they're all too big. And that's leading to issues. So, Ozempic, right, kills a lot of the hunger pains. So you could see where this could be popular with people trying to lose weight because you're not going to be hungry. So the other drug, the non-diabetic one, is Wegovy, right? And which is Ozempic, basically, but Ozempic is for diabetics and it's used off-label and everything else. But the advantage of Ozempic is this. Ozempic reportedly, right, you're less likely to have a heart attack with Ozempic. So if you have a lot of people are on this, again, it's for weight loss, it's for managing diabetes, but it also helps prevent heart attacks, according to some reports. So there's a lot of reasons why people are taking this. New York City nurses strike, and this is, again, we cannot do anything about when these things go on strike or anything like this. A lot of what doesn't go on, like with the economy and everything. But we cannot, what are you going to do when you know that there might be a strike coming up of healthcare professionals? How are you going to manage that? Whenever you hear something like this, especially you have chronic health issues, you need to ask yourself, as far as our disaster preparation stuff, right? Disaster prep and everything else, if you're a prepper, how are you going to respond to this? What they ended up doing was canceling non-necessary surgeries, right? Elective surgeries, bringing in supply nurses, discharging people early from the hospital, things of that nature. But again, this is not a final deal. The nurses returned to the hospital on Thursday, and what are you going to do about it? I should get Dawn Becker to comment on this. So insured losses from natural disasters totaled $120 billion in 2022 as climate change and the La Nina weather pattern fueled extreme storms and flood, according to one source here. Hurricane Ian, which devastated Florida, and floods in Pakistan, Australia, and China were among the costliest natural disaster. Hurricane Ian in the United States killed 150 people and caused $100 billion in total losses, right? So only $60 billion of which was insured. In Asia, the natural disasters caused $70 billion, with only $10 billion of this insured. So there's a huge gap in insurance and everything else. How's that going to be impacted? Now, let's face it. Everyone here knows what my opinions are on this global warming thing and everything. I think we're going to have to learn to manage it rather than putting spending all this money and resources and everything else. Right. This is from the New York Times, according to an article by Hiroko Tabuchi, and we've heard this over the years. So basically, Exxon, back in the 1970s, had data that said that fossil fuels would warm the planet, and then denied doing it for years. Now, why is this in the news? Is that there is a lawsuit that is that's being allowed to proceed against ExxonMobil, saying that they withheld data and things of that nature for that. This is in response to a new study published Thursday in the Journal of Science found out over the next decades, Exxon's scientists from the 1970s made remarkably accurate projections on how much burning fossil fuels would warm the planet. This is all being litigated right now. And I don't know. I think the numbers are so small that kind of hard to it's kind of hard to argue this one way or another. Now, looking at the numbers here, with that, would this have happened anyway? I mean, I don't know. There was other data that was observed in the 70s that Al Gore had documented in his movie, right, that talked about this also from the mid-70s. So I don't know. We'll see how this shakes out in a court of law. And what do we got? How many more minutes? I think I got to sign off here. Yes. So that's what we got for Safety Wars for Thursday, January 12th, 2023. I hope to be back here tomorrow. And now be aware, it's Friday the 13th. Be careful out there, guys and gals. And good night.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.